In this video, we'll create our Unity project and have it use the Google VR SDK. To work with Google Cardboard, you need to download the Google VR SDK, which is available on the Google VR developer site. You can navigate to the site from the developers link at the top of the Cardboard site, or click on developer site down here, or you can go directly to it by going to developers.google.com/VR. At the moment, Google has two different VR products, Daydream and Cardboard. Daydream will eventually become the successor to Cardboard. However, Daydream does require specific Android hardware as well as specific head-mounted displays. Additionally, at the time of recording, it isn't yet out. And finally, of course, Cardboard is not going to go away at all either because it's so cheap. We'll be focusing on Cardboard for these videos. What we want is the SDK for Unity. So if we scroll down to the Meet Our APIs section, you'll see the Unity link. Click on Unity SDK Documentation. This page tells you a bit about the features of this SDK for Unity. If you scroll down, you find the link Download the Google VR SDK for Unity. Click on that and you'll be taken to download instructions. The way that Google tells you to download it is to clone the repository that contains this. A more direct and faster way to get the SDK is to go directly to the repository by clicking on gvr-unity-sdk here, or you can go to github.com/googlevr/gvr-unity-sdk. Because we only need one specific file here. We want this Google VR for Unity.unity package. Click on that link in the GitHub repo, and then click the download button. You'll download the file. So go ahead and download that. In the meantime, let's create the project for Unity. I'm now in the new project window for Unity, and I'm going to name it VR. I'm going to make it be a 3D project, and I'm going to put it in my work folder. I'll click Create Project, and Unity will create the project for me. There we go. Next, we'll import the file. We'll do this by dragging and dropping the project into the assets folder. Unity will decompress the whole thing and offer to import the whole thing. There we go. We want all of these, so we'll click the Import button, and they'll all be imported. This will take a few seconds because there's a lot of little files in this. There we are. When you import it, you get two folders, Google VR and plugins. You also might notice that there'll be a few warnings that appear here. That's fine, they can be safely ignored. They're Google's fault, not yours. Let's go into the Google VR folder, into the Demo Scenes folder. There are two demos, a controller demo and the headset demo. The controller isn't relevant to this video series. It's to do with using an external controller that lets you manipulate the scene. We'll just be looking at the headset. So open up the demo scene here. Here's our scene. Let's begin playing right now. We'll click the play button, and we have our VR view. Notice how we see the same scene twice, once for the left eye and once for the right eye. We can move around the scene by holding down the Option, or Alt if you're on Windows, key, and moving the mouse around. Now we're looking around the scene. You might notice a white dot in the center of the screen. This is the reticle. The reticle is the direction that the player is currently aiming at, and it's really useful and in fact critical for helping the player come to terms with what they're currently looking at, because the direction that their eyes are pointing might be different to the direction that their head is pointing. So the white dot helps to indicate where the head is pointing. And as we mouse over this red box, it changes green, and the reticle grows and shrinks. And when I click the button, it vanishes and reappears elsewhere over here. So this entire demo is basically you're standing at a fixed location and you can look around and you can click on the box. When I say click on the box, it's worth talking about how the interaction model works in Google Cardboard. Let's go back to the picture of the cardboard itself. Can you see this little tab here on the top of the device? The tab is arranged inside a Google Cardboard box, such that when you squeeze it, a corresponding little tab moves forward and touches the screen. The touch on the screen is interpreted by the Google Cardboard API as a button being pressed, a trigger being pressed, it's called. When you're using a Google Cardboard device, you can't touch your phone because it's in the box. The only interaction that you have is with this trigger, as well as the movement of your own head. This means that when you're designing a game for Google Cardboard, you have to design the gameplay with these constraints in mind. This, by the way, is why Google is working on controllers that give you additional ways to interact with the scene beyond this trigger. In Unity, the act of clicking the mouse button is interpreted as a trigger. If we were doing this on a real device, the trigger itself would be the trigger. Let's stop playing now and do a little bit of setup. First of all, we should change our build settings to reflect the fact that we're going to be building onto a mobile device. Now, I'm going to be using iOS for these videos, but the system here will work for Android as well. We'll do that by going to the File menu and opening the Build settings. and we'll change the platform from PC, Mac, and Linux to iOS, or you can choose Android as well. Click on that, and I'll click Switch Platform. The assets will be re-imported for the new platform, and now we're done. Additionally, we need to make sure that the program will only ever run in a landscape configuration, because if we turn our head, we don't want the program to go, aha, the device has been rotated. Let's reshape the screen, because that's going to throw off the positioning of the two eye cameras in front of the lenses. So we'll change that by going to the player settings. We'll go to the edit menu, we'll go project settings, player. Open up the resolution and presentation section, change default orientation to landscape left. It's very important this be landscape left. The Google VR SDK assumes that it's going to be landscape left. While we're here, we should also change the bundle ID of our project just to make it a little bit nicer when we do build the game. So we'll change bundle identifier to com.o'reilly.unityvr. And there we are. We're now set up to start playing with virtual reality in our own games.